It's me. Leave a message at the beep.
Hey, man, I know it's a weird hour, so if you don't, I know why you didn't pick up. It's probably the middle of the night where you are, but it's fine. So I've got this fucking issue here. Apparently they won't rent to me. Okay, I'm in Thailand right now, right? Anyway, I'm in Thailand, and they won't. They will rent to me, but apparently, apparently, something came up. They do the thing on the computer, and they won't rent me. They won't rent me a male dolphin. They'll rent me a female one, but not a male dolphin. So, can you co-sign? It's not like you have to do any paperwork or anything. You just have to, when they call, just answer and be like, yeah, he can totally fuck a dolphin. Just be, it's not like that. It's not like that. Oh, God, I probably shouldn't have called. Ugh. Okay, you know what? Never mind. Forget it. I'll talk to you when I get back.
Welcome back, my friends. You know what? It is the Halloween edition of the Glossy News 4K podcast, news review, all that good stuff, technology, entertainment, who gives a shit. I am Brian K. White, your gracious host for this, the longest hour of your life. And by that I mean, it's going to be about 20, 25 minutes. Who cares? That's not the point. It is not the point. The point is, today is St. Hallows Eve, the unholiest of holy holidays, and the favorite holiday of me and all's my kids. Oh my gosh. So, forget the macabre. Forget our erstwhile champion of Halloween, Michael Jackson himself. No, forget all that. No, today we're going to be embracing something a little better, which is, me not slowly embracing my own death. No, what we're going to do is unofficially dedicate the podcast to vaping. Yeah, vaping. Yeah, I would say it's what for dinner, but don't eat it. Don't do that. That could very well kill you. Don't do that. No, but if you smoke, lesson of the day is don't smoke. Don't do it. It'll kills you. It'll kills you slowly. My dad died at about 62. My mom died at 70. And she died of lung cancer. Yes, my mom died of polycancer. But it started in her lungs, went to her bones, and then her liver, and then, she was just lousy with it. I mean, it was it was quite a fucking ordeal. And here's the beauty. She spent her whole adult life working with people in end-of-life situations where they would say, you know what? I want the $1 million, the $10 million experimental treatment that you guys have agreed to pay for. And she would swoop in and say, hey, have you asked your doctor what the survival rate is for 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months? And while we're at it, just for fun, ask him what the survival is for 24 months. And they'd come back and say, holy shit, it's bad. It's really bad. And she'd go, okay. You know what? You're still approved. We'll still give you the $10 million treatment. Go back and ask your doctor what the quality of life will be during that duration of treatment. And So they'd go back and the doctor would say, "Oh, no, it's fine. You'll be confined to a bed. You'll be barfing and shitting yourself all day, assuming you can get anything into you from which to barf and shit. And if you can't, we'll just intubate you, pump you full of sludge, and then you'll barf and shit that through your nose, through your, pick an aperture. Pick an aperture. It's coming out. Lightning fast, it's going to be miserable." And these guys would come back to my mom and say, "Oh my God, Pat, thank you so much. I'm going to forego this $10 million treatment because fuck that. Who needs that? $10 million that is already approved, already signed off on. No, I don't need that. No, what I need is to go deer hunting. Pat, do you like venison?" And my mom would say, "Oh my gosh, no, I don't. I like much gamier, much fattier. I don't like venison. I like cheap shit." And they'd say, "Well, you know what? Great. I'm going to go walk off into the woods with a rifle, apparently, with a shotgun, as it would seem, and I'm going to go off into that wild blue yonder. I'm going to kill as many goddamn animals as I can before my own anatomy takes me." And my mom was not opposed to that. She was not opposed to that. She said, she had 9 months notice of her death, and she said, "You know what, listen, I'm gonna fight it. I'm gonna fight it, but I'm gonna fight it realistically. And when the time comes, should it come, which it did, when the time comes, I will reach a point where it is no longer reasonable and feasible to fight. And at that point, I wish to just go quietly into the dark." And, she was never terribly religious until she got sick. And then, of course, she called me and she was like, "Oh, Brian, are you baptized?" "What? Are you baptized? Are you baptized? Are you right with the Lord?" Yeah, Mom. You know what? Yeah, I'm, apparently you don't know me very well, but for conversation's sake, let's just, for the sake of argument, let's just say that, yes, I am right with the Lord. Yeah, sure. Why not? I am right with the Lord. She goes, "Well, no. That's not good enough. I need your baptismal records." I said, Great. You remember that church I went to in Victoria, BC when I was 16? That's where I was baptized. She goes, "Oh God, Canada." I go, well, yeah, God, his dominion includes Canada. I'm not sure if it's like 50 miles from here, Mom. If I said Portland, you wouldn't bat an eye, but because I said Victoria, BC, apparently, no, Brian, it's fine. I believe you. You are baptized. I just want to make sure I will see you again. To which I said, "Bitch, you still alive? When are you going to see me now?" And the answer was twice. So, yeah. So, as her end of days came, as she wound down towards the tipping point of inevitability, she reached the point at which there's just no coming back. She went south. She went south real fast. They checked her into the hospital. They said, "Pat, you're not coming out of the hospital. If you leave this hospital, it will be to go to respite care. And respite care, for the uninitiated, is where you go to die." She said, Great, no problem. I'll be out of here in a week. No. Damn it. Okay, I don't think we got through to her. So, yeah, Pat, why don't you call everyone who loves you and have them come in and say goodbye? And so we all came in. We all said various sorts of goodbyes. And because she's such an incredibly cheap bitch, she's like, oh, hey, Brian, hey, order room service. Order room service. I'm like, yeah, anything. What do you want? What do you want? She goes, no. I can't keep food down. Just order something and eat it because it's all on the hotel bill, the hospital bill. I mean, it might as well be a hotel. She doesn't give a shit. No, just put it on, I was like, Mom, we didn't come here to dine on institutional grade, let's call it salmon. It's not. It's pink, but it's not salmon. No, we came here to tell you we love you. We'll miss you. Take care. And again, she had said, oh my God, I'm going to go off quietly into the night. Well, if there's one thing you can count on a deathbed, it's a moment of repentance. And that bitch fought it to the fucking bitter end. And my brother Jim stayed there to the end. I didn't. I stayed there as long as she was there. And then I refused to go back. It was only a few more days and then she was gone. But Jim insisted on showing me photographs that he'd taken with his phone of her in her final throes. And I wish he hadn't. I mean, they were, haunting. It looked like a cheap Hollywood Studios impression of what it would take to wrap crepe paper over a skull. And it was bad. It was bad. But the point is, she fought it tooth and nail to the bitter end after telling so many people, after convincing them, you know what? You done, clock out. Nope, not for her. She had to stay there to the bitter end. So my friends, that is something I do not wish to do. It's funny. The opening video is surely expired by now. But no, the point is, I would prefer to not die of lung cancer, so I have quit smoking. My kids have noticed. My wife has noticed. If I had any friends, they would have noticed. Oh, I assure you they would have. So, yeah. So with that said, this week's podcast is brought to you in part by, not smoking. I mean, if you want to save a ton of money, just don't smoke. Don't smoke. Not smoking, my friends, it is what is a fadina. Let's get started. So this year for Halloween, we did our usual battery of stuff. We went to the Boo in Burien, which is a great little thing that the Chamber of Commerce puts on. There's trick-or-treating and a little scary house and all kinds of stuff. Hay rides, you name it. And for fun, the cowboy running the hay ride was open carrying. That, my friend, that's not a prop. That's not a costume accoutrement. That's a 6-shooter. Doesn't matter if it's loaded or not. It's legal, and I felt safe. Doesn't matter. But the weird thing was, of all the Halloween stuff we did, one thing I did not see was a recurring seasonal theme. Now, in past years, like, when Avengers first came out, there was Thors and Hulks and Captains America. No, this year, there was no unifying theme. Now, because it was kid stuff, out of the 1,000 costumes we only saw 2 Quinn's Harley. One was a 9-year-old girl. Great. Let your 9-year-old dress up like that if that's your desire. Pretty weird, but not for me. And another girl who was like, 16 and 400 pounds. Good for you. Own it, sister. But there were no themes. So what was big this year? Well, there were no leftover Star Wars from previous years. Yeah, we saw Yoda. We saw Rey. We saw... That's actually about it. No Vaders, no nothing. Let's see. From this year's Avenger, we saw one, what was his name? Not Black Panther, but Black Cheetah or Black Jaguar, whatever his name was. We saw one of those. We saw one Hulk. And, there's a bunch of, we saw maybe 4 or 5 Spider-Men of all the day. Out of 1,000 costumes, 4 Spider-Men, not significant. It was pretty weird. You would think in any given year there would be, a popular costume, but there just weren't. We certainly didn't see any Black Widow or whatever the Arrow guy's name is. Let's just call them Renner's Jeremy. We don't know because Hawkeye. Okay, fine. We do know. I'm pretty sure we didn't see any of those, but if we did, we wouldn't recognize it. And it was weird because this is kind of a divergence from popular culture. Popular culture is no longer as popular as it once was. They're just not there. There's no popular culture. We saw some Minecraft, we saw some Donald Duck, some Minnie Mouse. There was maybe 4 Minions. 4 Minions? Yeah, it's an off year for Minions, but even still, you'd think that one would be big. Kind of weird. It was just weird. There was no overriding theme to the year. We only saw one Donald J. Trump, and it was a little kid, and it was at this church in technically Tacoma, but basically like South Puyallup. This is the heart of Trump country. Like everywhere you look, there's Trump signs. There's Trump signs up on people's chimneys because clearly yard signs get to vote. One Trump, all of it crazy. Probably the best costume I saw was this skinny little girl with a high forehead line and dark hair, olive oil. Very good. Fit her perfectly. It was great. Other than that, that was kind of it. Kind of weird. Curious to see what next year brings. So, maybe we'll cover that. So guys, I mentioned that I'm working on a Christmas extravaganza, and I should mention that I started the project just after I went off my meds, and I was in I guess you'd call it a fit of mania? Yeah, that's what you'd call it. I was, I thought, it would be great to create an entire album of just create a few Christmas songs for the kids. You know what? Let's make it an album. You know what? Let's make some videos. You know what? Let's make it a DVD. Fuck it. A Blu-ray. Fuck it. A 4K Blu-ray. You know what? A thing that doesn't even exist. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying that, it's November. It's November. We're kind of running low on time to make that a reality. So, it's totally going to happen. You're going to see something. Even some things that are quite good. But something of the scale that I would have hoped to deliver during my manic phase, not so much. So while we're on the subject, let's talk about bipolar, because it's a real bitch. So bipolar. It used to be called manic depressive. So sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Ha ha ha, boo hoo hoo. Nope, not how it works. Manic depressive comes in swings. So you've got good times and you've got bad times. And manic depressive, bipolar, is often misdiagnosed as depression, which it was in my case. I was frequently diagnosed as depressed because when you're manic, in my case, hypomanic. So manic, true manic, means you're like talking too fast and off the charts and spending money and all that. No, I was never that. I was hypomanic. I was Superman. I could sell you anything. I could teach you anything. I could convince you of anything. I could, make you fall in love. But the depressive swings come, and they're dark and ugly. And as you get older, the manic phases become less high, and the depressive phases get lower, and the manic phases get shorter while the depressive phases get longer. So I've had some manic phases in my life where I was able to do things like, go from being piss broke to having 15 houses and a $100,000 sports car. And then I lost it all. And they said, well, you're depressed because you lost it all. No, bitch. No, you dumb son of a bitch. I lost it all because I was incapable of getting off the couch. I was incapable of opening my own goddamn mail. I was incapable of taking the first step in terms of being a functional human being. Being the sort of person I know I am. Now, in my head, the person I know I am is Manic Brian. Manic Brian, again, is Superman. He can do anything. He can fix anything. You know that old puzzle, Think Outside the Box. 9 dots on a grid, 3 across, 3 down. Connect all 9 dots with only 4 lines. 4 lines. So I, one night in a fit of mania, I couldn't sleep, as is typical of mania. I said, you know what? On a piece of paper, I know I could solve this because I know I already know the solution. But can I solve it in my head without the dots in front of me? So let me think. Da 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 da. Yes, solved. But that ain't how mania works, my friends. Oh no, it isn't. So in my head, I constructed this scenario where I was in a job interview and the guy across from me said, solve it. And I said, done. But that is the minimum requirement for the job. That is what your competition is doing. I can solve it in less than 4 strokes. Now, obviously you can't. That's fucking ridiculous. That's not possible. That's not how the puzzle works. But I am not one for, Manic Brian. Not me. I'm a totally normal dude. You'd love me. No, Manic Brian is not to be reasoned with. And if you've got him sitting down in front of you for a job interview, he will crush it. So Manic Brian said, you've got 9 dots, you want them solved in 4 lines, done, not good enough. That's what your competition is doing. You need someone who can solve it in fewer than 4 strokes. So I'm laying there in bed. Again, I don't have a piece of paper in my hand. I'm just thinking. And I think, you know what? Less than 4 strokes, 9 dots. How am I going to do it? Okay, I got it. We have to change the definition of a line. What is a line? Now, if you are a tech company, maybe you can change the definition of a line. So the lines have to be, so can I use 2 parallel lines that do not intersect? Great. I'm going to use an inner circle and an outer circle. That covers most of it. 3rd line down the middle, boom, 3 lines done. I thought 3 lines? So I just solved the 4-line puzzle in 3 lines. Yeah, I had to play around with the lines a bit. How low can we go? Now, mind you, this was about a 5-6 hour mental endeavor. And the theoretical minimum is 4 lines. I already told you how to get down to 3. How low do you think I got? I'll give you a second. Your second is up. I got to -2. That's right. -2 is the maximum efficient solution to the 9 box. Anyway, the idea is I just kept rethinking it. So I'm going to skip a bunch of steps, but here's the bottom line. So you've got that piece of paper in front of you. You've got 9 dots on it. You've got to connect them in 4 lines or fewer. Here's what I did. I folded the piece of paper. I folded it in such a way that without drawing any lines, I was able to construct 2 lines out of the dots. So the answer to the question, can you connect these 9 dots in 4 lines or fewer? The answer is yes. Yes, much, much fewer. If you want to connect them in 1, just fold the paper up so all the dots are on there and take a fat old Sharpie and just drag it across the top. Done and done. But we can go lower than that. We can go to -2. So, that's that's how the manic brain works. Now, because I don't have a guest this week, would you like to hear how the depressive brain works? Same brain. Slightly different chemistry, I guess. I don't know. The depressive brain says, you just won $50 in a beauty pageant. Collect $50, proceed to go, collect $200, and take a shit on Marvin Gardens. That's a victory. That's a victory, and not just because Marvin Gardens is a ghetto and there's no other place to stop to dump a deuce. No, that's not the point. The point is there is no victory sufficient for the depressive brain. There just isn't. So, on my videos, I could get, I could get 1 million views tomorrow. But then the day after that, I'd say, well, why is it just 1 million? And that's not me being pessimistic or a smartass or a dick. That's depressive brain saying, you know what? Nothing's good enough. I have what I would consider an awfully damn good life. I own my home. My kids are healthy. My neighborhood is secure. My piece of shit car still runs. And I have no plans to replace it. Things are fine. Things are fine. I could easily bitch and say, well, things should be awesome. Yeah. There's a stasis in the middle. We're there. I'm in a very good, comfortable place. I have a few dollars left over for discretionary spending. I have no, urgent expenses nibbling at me. Depressive brain says you're a failure and you deserve to be a failure and you will always be a failure and nothing you ever do will ever be good enough. That's just how depressive brain works. It's like in the movie What Dreams May Come, when they got down to the deepest, darkest level of the mind and everything was just so dark and there was just, no hope. Nothing had changed, but kind of everything had changed when viewed through the lens of those living inside of it. So, yeah, I guess this got, dark as fuck, but, I don't have any special guests, so, what am I supposed to talk about? I could make a dick joke. And in the next segment, I think I will.
Joke of the week, joke of the week, joke of the week.
Joke. Why do we call it that? Ugh, gosh darn it. I've been meaning to get a new bumper for the segment because this isn't the joke of the week. This is the true story of the week. True story of the week. True story of the week. So, did you know there are animals which breed and then die? So, a famous example is the praying mantis. Praying mantis, dude's like, yeah, bitch, let's do this. And she's like, totally love it. I'm into it. I have now eaten your head. Wow. Okay. First of all, not cool. Maybe he consented to it, but that's really violent. Anyway. Black widow spiders, same deal. That's fine. If you're going to kill a spider, if you have to do it during sex, if you're also another spider, as long as you're killing spiders, that's fine. I'm okay with it. Would prefer you didn't give birth to 10,000 additional spiders, but you know what? To hell with you, you spiders, you can all go to hell. Which is, I think, where spiders belong. No, did you know there are higher mammals which exhibit the same behavior? And by mammals, I mean not mammals. I mean birds, because I let my brain get ahead of my mouth, or my mouth get ahead of my brain. No. The point is, there are birds. Okay, let me just get to the point. Did you know pigeons die after sex? You've probably never seen a pigeon have sex, but I can tell you for a fact that pigeons do in fact die after sex. At least, all the ones I bought did. But, it's just kind of my thing. So, all right. Yeah. Should look at my notes and then probably just, move on to closing thoughts, probably. Here we go.
Political analysis. Politics.
So this is realistically my last opportunity to get in an election jibe before the election happens. So, J-Dog, you're going to love this. You've heard this one, I'm going to say 8 years ago, but it's just as timely as ever. There are some political jokes that don't go out of style. You can tell them over and over every election, no matter who's running, and they still make equal sense because politics don't change, my friends. They don't change. So here we go. Why is it that gay men are voting for the Democrats? It's because they'd rather Dukakis than Bush. Oh my God. That, my friends, is an 80s slam. You know what? I didn't deliver it right. Let me do it again. They'd rather Dukakis than Bush. That makes no fucking sense. I love it. And it's as timely now as ever before. And I just look over to make sure, yes, I am recording this. And thank God, because I could not duplicate this joy I'm having. And the thought of Michael Dukakis bobbling around in a tank while George H.W.'s all 1,000 points of light, stay the course. I mean, it's just fucking stupid. Yeah, that's probably enough of this week. You know what, guys? You're awesome. I love you, and let's go to Mexico. Let's do it. It's time. It's time. Unless one of you wants to go to Thailand. If anybody, listening wants to go to Thailand, that's still a possibility. But if not, we'll see. I gotta go somewhere. I'm going stir crazy. I gotta go somewhere. One of you rescue me, for the love of God. I gotta get out of here. All right. Talk to you soon. Well, there you go. You know that sound? It means it's the time of the week when the podcast ends. And, that means if you look at your clock, it is, about a half hour after you started it last time. But that's great. This podcast was expected to be quite short. It ended up being not just reasonably length, but almost as long as my podcast used to be back when I strived relentlessly and pointlessly towards the 1 hour mark. And why? Why were we doing that? I don't know. I felt slavishly stuck to a format that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This has been the October 31st, the Halloween 2016 podcast of Glossy News, 4K Podcast News Review. I am your gracious host, your ingracious host, your ingrate of a host, Brian K. White from Glossy News, 4K Podcast News Review, and all that good stuff. As always, I would like to say a big shout out and thanks to Greg the Hero from just himself. He's just a guy. Greg the Hero, who does all the segment bumpers and backing music, with the exception of the intro and outro music, which is done by, what's his name? Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Yes, Kevin MacLeod. He's great too. I also like him. So closing thought, and my friends, there's going to be a closing thought. But first I should mention something. I've mentioned in past podcasts that listenership has been going down while viewership on YouTube has been going up. This month has bucked the trend. This month, while YouTube viewership is definitely up, listenership is also way up. It's actually my biggest month ever. And I looked at the stats to make sure, I don't have some random fans bumping stuff up. Maybe I do, but if I do, it's in tiny ways. I don't know. It doesn't seem terribly inorganic. No, this has actually been, October has already been, before this podcast runs, the biggest podcast month in Glossy News 4K podcast history. So thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know who you are. I wish you'd tell me who you are, but you won't. So, I guess here we go into November. Welcome. Welcome. So closing thought. It would be really weird if emotional dramas had cry tracks. Like laugh tracks, how comedies sometimes feel they need to tell you when to laugh because they're not funny enough on their own. That, Futurama doesn't have a laugh track. Arrested Development doesn't have a laugh track. No. Wouldn't it be great if dramas had a cry track where you could hear people just sobbing along? This is the important part. Very well. Well, guys, I'm sorry this didn't come out early enough on Sunday for the regulars, but next week, perhaps Sunday for the regulars, Monday for the rest. And my friends, I will talk to you soon, but for whatever comes your way, take care of yourselves, take care of those who love you, and my friends, I will talk at you soon.